Kyle Kuzma. Niggas got rid of Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. These niggas don't want to win. And that's why I say y'all can't be mad if Giannis leave this organization. Now they just simply doing dumb shit. Nah. Why you trading Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma? What the fuck? What's good, YouTube? We back with another one. We back with another bang. We back with another video. We're gonna do NBA reaction today, man. How Milwaukee Bucks fell apart at the one it all. Twitch in the description. Instagram in the description. Check me out.
5 years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks were on top of the basketball world. Giannis Antetokounmpo had just dropped 50 points in Game 6 of the NBA Finals,
come back from like a
delivering
2-0.
Milwaukee its first championship in half a century, and it felt like the start of something special. A small market franchise had built a
Giannis
perfect
can't stay
contender around a
healthy.
homegrown superstar. But today, the Bucks find themselves in a completely different situation, because after reaching the top of the mountain in 2021, Milwaukee has spent the last 5 years slowly sliding down it. But to understand why Giannis means so much to Milwaukee, we have to go back to what the Bucks were before he arrived. For most of the 2000s and early 2010s, the Bucks were one of the most forgettable teams in basketball.
Bro,
They
talk
weren't
though.
terrible, but they weren't good either. Let's just say they weren't a team that you would pick when you're playing 2K with your friends. Players like Michael Ray
Say I never play with the Bucks on 2K until like 2K21. Literally. They had a little squad. Bro, I never played with the Bucks. I literally, you not lying, bro. Who they used to skip past the Bucks or the Orlando Magic? You know what I'm saying?
Andrew Bogut, Brandon Jennings, and Monte Ellis had solid seasons, but Milwaukee rarely felt like it had a real future. They were also one of the smallest markets in the league, and barely got any national attention. From 2001 to 2013, they made the playoffs just 5 times and lost in the first round every single time. The franchise had been stuck in neutral for over a decade, but the 2013 NBA draft completely changed everything. With the 15th pick, the Bucks selected a skinny 18-year-old from Greece named Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was the youngest player and the biggest mystery in the entire draft. Playing in Greece's second division, he was incredibly raw and nobody knew if his game would translate to the NBA. But Milwaukee took the gamble, and over the next few years, Giannis developed at a pace that nobody expected. By 2017, he had become an all-star and won Most Improved Player.
I thought
Suddenly, the
2016.
Bucks had something they hadn't had in decades, a true franchise superstar. Once it became clear how special he was, Milwaukee started building the team entirely around him.
I really heard about Giannis, what, 2018, 2017, when my dad played me a song, the way was like, I got a bad bitch, like, under the Kupo or something like that. That boy said, keep that shit on to the, y'all ain't let, y'all let up, y'all, you know what I'm talking about. That's the first time I heard of Giannis.
Interestingly enough,
I'm gonna bring back Greek feeling after the Kupo. That boy was flash,
the foundation of their future championship team had actually started forming the same year Giannis was drafted. In July of 2013, the Bucks traded Brandon Jennings to the Detroit Pistons in return for Brandon Knight and Chris Middleton, who was viewed as a throw-in piece. He had been a second-round pick in 2012 and barely played during his rookie season in Detroit. But once he arrived in Milwaukee, he quickly became a starter and slowly started developing. Year after year, his game improved, and he became one of the league's most reliable shooters. Eventually, Middleton became a 3-time All-Star and the perfect complement next to Giannis. By the late 2010s, Giannis was a full-blown superstar, and the Bucks started making serious moves to turn their young core into a contender. At the 2018 trade deadline, the Bucks traded for Eric Bledsoe, a 6'1" point guard who had just averaged 26 and 4 in back-to-back years with the Suns. However, he dealt with injuries that year and infamously tweeted, "I don't want to be here," right before the deadline. Bledsoe immediately became the Bucks' new starting point guard, but the real transformation happened that offseason. They hired Mike Budenholzer, an established coach who had led the Atlanta Hawks to 60 wins a few years earlier. Then they made one of the most pivotal moves of the era by signing 7'1" center Brook Lopez. After becoming the Nets' all-time leading scorer, Lopez got shipped to the Lakers where he struggled to fit in. That's where Milwaukee stepped in, signing Lopez to a cheap 1-year deal in the summer of 2018. At the time, it looked like a low-risk move, but Lopez ended up becoming one of the most important pieces of the Bucks' entire system. Defensively, he anchored the paint and turned Milwaukee into one of the league's most dominant rim-protecting teams. And offensively, he reinvented his game, transforming into a true stretch big who could space the floor and knock down threes. It was the perfect fit.
Hey, he was
Milwaukee
the perfect
also
fit
drafted
for that.
national champion Dante DiVincenzo with the 17th.
Hey, if you really think about it, bro, I ain't gonna lie. Without the Bucks winning the championship, probably would be talking about Giannis for real. That championship means something. Like winning a ring, bro, means something, bro. Cause Giannis haven't been healthy for a game. If he would have just been like a one-hit wonder, nigga who was in his prime, won an MVP, but then win a ring. You know what I mean? Like something like James Harden. Nigga ain't even go to the finals. Like
Big, giving them another
that
young
nigga's
piece
James
to
Harden.
develop off
Sorry.
the bench. Suddenly, everything started to come together, and in the 2018-19 season, the Bucks finished as the best team.
Why he looking at the coach like that? Remember we gonna be $20, huh, nigga? Remember we put that bet, nigga, right? Yeah, we're gonna talk about this later. Talk about this later, Malcolm.
In the entire NBA. They won 60 games, Giannis won his first MVP, and Milwaukee had gone from rebuilding
I ain't
team
gonna lie,
to
that's another thing. Really, James Harden should have won that MVP. James Harden should be back-to-back 2018, 2019 MVP. And Giannis do deserve an MVP. Can't lie. I can't lie. So Giannis, don't get me wrong, Giannis deserves the MVP. But James Harden was just going crazy 2019 too. That was his year too, bro. James Harden should have been back-to-back. But I'm happy Giannis got it. He one of my favorite players. Probably is my favorite player in the NBA right now if he stay out there.
legitimate championship contender almost overnight. But even with all that regular season dominance, the Bucks still had something to prove in the playoffs. They breezed past the Pistons and the Celtics in the first two rounds and jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors. But Toronto made adjustments. Kawhi took on the challenge of guarding Giannis, and the Raptors built a massive defensive wall in the paint. Suddenly, Milwaukee's offense stalled out, and the Raptors won 4 straight games, eliminating the Bucks and eventually going on to win the championship.
Imagine being able to
Yeah.
build an app with your
But that
name
was
on
2019
it just by
though.
thinking about it.
In 2021, they won one.
But that offseason brought one surprising change. The Bucks lost former Rookie of the Year Malcolm Brogdon, who left for the Indiana Pacers after the two sides couldn't agree on a new contract. But even without Brogdon, the Bucks didn't miss a beat. In the 2019-20 season, the Bucks once again finished with the best record in the NBA, and Giannis won his second straight MVP award. But then came the
Wait, this nigga won twice? Damn, nigga, y'all should have gave 2019 to Harden for real then. I didn't know this nigga Giannis won 2 MVPs twice. Oh yeah, that nigga should be in the GOAT conversation. I don't care, bro. Why he not in them talks? Only because he can't stay healthy? This nigga won MVP twice? I didn't know that.
playoffs. Milwaukee matched up with the Miami Heat, and from the start, the series felt off. Jimmy Butler dominated Game 1 and Game 2 to take a 2-0 series lead, but the real turning point came in Game 3. The Bucks entered the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead and completely collapsed. The Heat outscored them 40-13 in the final quarter, taking a shocking 3-0 series lead, and from there on, the series was basically over. The Bucks, the team with the best record in the NBA,
Nigga got one
eliminated
ring though,
them
so
in
I
5
don't know.
games, and suddenly the pressure was on. At the same time, Giannis's contract situation was looming over the franchise, and Giannis made it clear he wanted the organization to stay aggressive. If the Bucks wanted to keep their superstar long term, they needed to prove that they were all in. So in the 2020 offseason, Milwaukee made the biggest move in franchise history by acquiring Pelicans guard Drew Holiday,
Yep.
who was one of the best defenders in the league. They gave
God
up a
needed
massive
him.
haul, including Eric Bledsoe, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. It was a
Damn,
huge gamble
Bledsoe.
as they were essentially mortgaging their entire future for one player, but it worked. Drew Holiday gave the Bucks exactly what they had been missing, a true two-way point guard who could run the offense and shut down opposing guards.
Yep.
And the Bucks now had one of the most balanced lineups in basketball. They had another successful regular season, and when the playoffs began, the Bucks looked ready to prove something. In the first round, they faced the Miami Heat, the same team that had embarrassed them the year prior. But this time, they flipped the switch and swept Miami in 4 games. Next
Yeah.
came the Brooklyn Nets in the second round, a series that many people considered the real NBA Finals. The Nets had the most talented trio ever in Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and the series quickly became a war. Milwaukee fell behind early, struggling behind Brooklyn's
I thought this stuff happened in the Eastern Conference Finals, bro. I don't know if KD had his foot on the line. My nigga, that nigga got me so tight, bro. I thought this happened in the Eastern Conference Finals. Where do I be at? So who did they play in the Eastern Conference Finals? Because I know San Antonio had to play. No. I don't know. I'm tweaking. What am I?
star power,
Let me
but
shut up.
injuries shifted the momentum. Kyrie Irving went down, Harden played through a hamstring injury, and the series stretched to 7
Because Paul
games.
had to play the
In Game
Suns
7,
in it.
Kevin Durant delivered an all-time performance. With
Clippers had to play the Suns in the Western Conference Finals, huh?
Kyrie out and James Harden acting as a literal decoy, he dropped 48 points and nearly carried the Nets to victory. But in one of the most dramatic moments in playoff history, Durant's potential game-winning 3 was ruled a 2-pointer because of his size 37 foot. The game went into overtime, where Milwaukee survived behind 40 points from Giannis. The Eastern Conference Finals brought another challenge, Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, who were fresh off ruining Ben Simmons' whole career. The series was competitive early, and Milwaukee faced a scare when Giannis hyperextended his knee in Game 4. It looked like a potentially season-ending injury, and he would miss the rest of that series, a huge blow. But the Bucks kept fighting. In Game 5, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday combined for 84 points, and they took a 3-2 lead. Then in
Damn.
Game 6, they closed out the Hawks on the road behind 32 points from Chris Middleton. It was a resilient effort, and for the first time in 47 years, the
Imagine
Bucks
it.
were headed back to the NBA Finals.
Imagine they
And
beat
waiting for
them.
them were the Phoenix Suns, led by Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Phoenix jumped out to a 2-0 series lead, and many believed the Bucks were cooked, especially with Giannis still playing through his knee injury. But what happened next became legendary. Milwaukee won 4 straight games, and Giannis delivered one of the greatest finals performances ever. In Game 4, he made this iconic block on DeAndre Ayton in the clutch. Drew Holiday followed that with one of the most clutch steals ever in Game 5, ripping the ball away from
this nigga came back. This is one of the greatest. Like, I ain't say this is the greatest. One of the greatest playoff moments, bro. Giannis, bro. Just being Giannis after being down 0-2. Nigga just turned into something different. This is great to see this, man.
Booker and throwing
Alley.
the famous alley-oop to Giannis to
Michael
seal it. And then came Game 6. On their own floor in Milwaukee, Giannis delivered a masterpiece. 50 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks, leading the Bucks to a 105-98 victory. When the final buzzer sounded, the Bucks were NBA champions for the first time in 50 years. Giannis Antetokounmpo, once the skinny teenager from Greece, was now a final MVP and the face of a championship franchise. The Bucks had climbed all the way from a forgotten team.
I think I ain't gonna sell his soul, I don't think, for sure.
Looked like the Bucks might be the NBA's next dynasty, but from this point on, things started to get weird.
The
Bucks entered the 21-22 season as defending champs, and expectations were higher than ever, but the season quickly became a grind. Injuries started piling up almost immediately. Brook Lopez played just 1 game before undergoing back surgery that would sideline him for the majority of the year. Without Lopez protecting the rim, the Bucks had to constantly adjust their defense. One of the most underrated moves came at the 2022 trade deadline, when the Bucks traded Dante DiVincenzo in a 4-team trade.
I don't know why they did this shit. I don't know why they did this, gang. I don't know why they did this, bro.
For Serge Ibaka. DiVincenzo had been an important young piece off the bench and was even starting during parts of the championship run. But after suffering a major ankle injury in the 2021 playoffs, he struggled to regain consistency. Milwaukee ultimately decided they needed frontcourt depth.
Niggas add Serge Ibaka to the team, bro. Honestly, you need to leave, nigga. I forgot they did all this, bro. What was I at when this happened? Nigga, you need to go. They added Serge Ibaka to the team. I knew they fucked up. Bro, why y'all added this nigga, bro?
Their guard, especially with
damn, Giannis, you gotta go, bro.
Lopez injured, so they moved on from him in hopes that Ibaka could stabilize their rotation. Even with all the injuries and roster adjustments, Giannis somehow kept getting better. He averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists, playing some of the best basketball of his career and once again finishing near the top of the MVP race. Behind Giannis' dominance and strong seasons from Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, the Bucks finished 51-31 and were clearly still contenders. But the playoffs would once
again lost to the Celtics,
in the first round, the Bucks faced the Chicago Bulls, who they handled pretty comfortably, winning the series in 5 games. But during that series, disaster struck. Chris Middleton suffered a sprained MCL in Game 2, forcing him to miss the remainder of the playoffs, and that injury ended up changing everything. Without Middleton, the Bucks entered a brutal second-round matchup against the Boston Celtics. The series turned into a defensive battle.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout if you were in a car accident up to 1 year ago?
Giannis was incredible, putting up massive numbers and carrying the offense almost entirely by himself. Game after game, he attacked the paint, created plays, and kept Milwaukee alive. They even took a 3-2 series lead, putting themselves just 1 win away from returning to the Eastern Conference Finals, but Boston responded. In Game 6, Jason Tatum exploded for 46 points, forcing a Game 7 back in Boston. And in Game 7, the Celtics simply had more firepower. Without Middleton's scoring and shot creation, Milwaukee's...
Because Chris Middleton was hurt, they would have been cooked, bro. If Chris Middleton was not hurt, they would have been cooked, I'm telling you.
Without Middleton's scoring and shot creation, Milwaukee struggled to keep up, and their title defense officially came to an end.
I'm telling you, bro. Most people they probably would have went back-to-back, my nigga. I'm being so serious, bro. If Chris Middleton would have been playing, never got hurt, Giannis probably got 2. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. That nigga Giannis probably would have had 2. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all like that. Giannis probably had 2 rings, brother. I'm being so serious, bro. Who you losing to? Curry? Shoot 3s all you want. You got Drew Holiday on you. You gonna do that the whole series.
Winning back-to-back championships is notoriously difficult, and the assumption around the league was that if Middleton was healthy, they'd probably win that series.
For sure.
The following season would prove that things were truly starting to shift in Milwaukee. The 2022-23 season looked like a return to dominance. They finished with the best record in the entire NBA, winning 58 games. Giannis continued playing like an MVP. Drew Holiday made another All-Star team while anchoring perimeter defense.
But what happened?
Brook Lopez had one of the best defensive seasons of his career, finishing second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Everything was pointing towards another deep playoff run, but when the playoffs began, everything fell apart. In the first round, the Bucks matched up with the Miami Heat, an 8 seed that had barely made it through the play-in tournament. On paper, it should have been an easy series, but instead, it turned into one of the biggest playoff upsets in NBA history. Giannis injured his back in Game 1 after a hard fall and missed multiple games. leaving the Bucks scrambling early in the series. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler caught absolute fire, dropping 56 points in Game 4, the fourth most points ever in a playoff game. The Bucks lost in 5, and just like that, a team that many had picked to win the championship had been knocked out in the first round, and the fallout came.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. We can't really put Giannis up there, compare that nigga to no damn LeBron, low key. Bro, LeBron would not let Jimmy Butler do this to him. If swap LeBron and Giannis, all LeBron needed some shooter, man. That shit not happening. I ain't gonna lie. 56 points, yeah, but they ain't won a game. I'm telling you, I can't put Giannis above LeBron, bro. This is the nigga, but Jimmy Butler was doing all this. I forgot. This spot shit. This what made me more, bro.
The fourth most.
You not doing this on LeBron. I'm telling you, this shit gonna be done
points
for
ever in a playoff.
Even if he do drop 56, that nigga not getting the dub. I'm telling you. LeBron ain't losing.
Surprising move considering
to no Jimmy Butler. He ain't little to no team in the East to me for real. But Jimmy Butler, hell, bro, been smacking that nigga his whole career.
Had led the team to so much success in a short time with the team, but the front office felt the team needed a new voice. So the Bucks hired Adrian Griffin, a longtime NBA assistant coach who had spent years on various teams around the league. Most recently with
rid of that nigga.
Griffin was known as a respected defensive mind and a strong leader, but he had never been a head coach before, and his tenure in Milwaukee quickly became complicated. That offseason, Damian Lillard had finally requested.
And that's why people just be what they need to be. Like, bro, if you great at something, stay great at something. My dad told me this. Nigga, if you're a great assistant coach, stay at being an assistant coach. If you're a great defensive coach, stay at being a defensive coach. That's your niche. You know what I'm saying? That's your ability. That's a God-given talent, you know? God bless you to be good and know how to read these plays and move all that, right? Why the hell you trying to be a head coach if you're a defensive coach? Just stay at what you're great at, what you're good at. Nigga, we trying to go outside their lane and be failing. Like, you know what I mean? Just stay in your lane, gang.
A trade from Portland following several unsuccessful seasons. Many expected him to be shipped to the Heat or the Nets, but John Horst saw a golden opportunity to pair Giannis with Dame. And in September of 2023, they pulled the trigger, sending Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, a first-round pick, and 2 first-round pick swaps to the Blazers for Damian Lillard. For Milwaukee, the logic was simple. Giannis had carried the offense for years, and while Drew Holiday was an incredible defender, the Bucks had sometimes struggled offensively in the playoffs. Lillard changed that instantly. He was one of the best players in the entire league and one of the greatest shooters of all time. The idea of Giannis and Dame...
I ain't gonna lie, at one point I thought Damian Lillard was better than Steph Curry. I thought that nigga was a better shooter, but that nigga, Curry just be cooking that nigga. I ain't gonna lie, like, I don't know, he'll cook Curry sometimes too, but it's like, nigga, Curry's better. I was just being delusional.
Ball was terrifying for the entire NBA.
Nigga don't even got a ring.
Even more dangerous than before.
Nigga don't even got a finals appearance.
But the reality didn't quite match the hype. That season started with excitement, but problems began to surface quickly. Despite having one of the most talented rosters in the league, the Bucks struggled defensively under Adrian Griffin. The team looked disorganized on that end of the floor, and there were...
We have to be coached better. Exactly. Why did y'all hire this nigga who only is an assistant coach? Like, y'all ain't have nobody else? Damn, y'all did better hire Jason Kidd than this nigga, bro. Yeah, that nigga was trash, bro. They had a good... You exactly... Giannis and Dame,
tension behind the scenes.
A nigga who could give you 48, nigga who could give you 30 plus each game.
Staff and players.
Only if they really on this
30 and 13 record, the Bucks decided to fire Griffin mid-season. They quickly replaced him with veteran coach Doc Rivers, hoping.
I remember this trade. It wasn't even no better, bro. He's ass. He only got one ring with the Boston Celtics. You should have had 2 or 3, nigga. You got 1.
Stabilize the team.
Coaching sucks, nigga.
But the sudden coaching change only added more chaos to an already bizarre season. Still, the talent on the roster carried them to the playoffs, but once again, the postseason brought trouble. In the first round of the 2024 playoffs, the Bucks matched up with the Indiana Pacers.
But Tyrese Halliburton put belt that.
Tyrese Halliburton that had given Milwaukee problems all season long. And right before the series began, it was announced that Giannis had strained his calf and would miss the entire
season. 11%. Nigga can't never stay healthy, bro. Giannis, you another one. I thought Giannis is just doing all this. Bro, Giannis can't stay healthy? I ain't know that. I just found this out today. Cause he my favorite player, but I don't watch that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't watch him, I ain't gonna lie. Maybe because he never played. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Their best player, the Bucks were suddenly relying almost entirely on Damian Lillard.
Stay healthy, nigga.
And despite averaging over 30 a game, the Bucks lost in 6. The 24-25 season was supposed to be the year the Bucks finally figured things out.
Todd, this is a fire roster.
And Doc Rivers had a full offseason to his
Rivers, I don't fucking like you. You stupid, you allergic face bitch. I don't like you, bro. Get off this team, bro. Giannis, get traded, leave him, bro. Nigga look like he got an allergic reaction. He said,
But the system
man,
never
leave
clicked.
him, bro.
The defense still wasn't the same without Drew Holiday. The roster around the Stars was aging, and the team struggled to dominate the way contenders usually do. And at the trade deadline, they made another major decision. Trading Chris Middleton to the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma.
For Kyle Kuzma. Niggas got rid of Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. These niggas don't want to win. And that's why I say, y'all can't be mad if Giannis leave this organization. Now they just simply doing dumb shit. Nah. Why you trading Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma? What the fuck? Nigga was even averaging 15 points. Nigga traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma.
Actually breaking up the duo that had been together for over a decade. The move was driven by Middleton's injury issues, and it marked the end of an era in Milwaukee. Still, they made the playoffs.
Nigga, Giannis had injury issues. What you talking about? You get rid of a nigga because he had injury issues. Nigga, Giannis had injury issues too.
Over a decade.
What?
The move was driven by Middleton's injury issues,
kept both of them,
and marked the end of an era in Milwaukee. Still, they made the playoffs, and once again, their opponent was the Indiana Pacers. But then the worst possible thing happened. In the middle of the series, Damian Lillard went down with a torn Achilles.
He got hurt.
It was a devastating injury that not only ended his season immediately, but also meant he would likely miss the entire following year. Without Lillard, Milwaukee had no chance of recovering in the series. It was another first-round exit, and now the front office was put in a nightmare scenario. Wait for Dame to recover and waste a year of Giannis's prime, or cut the future Hall of Famer in order to sign somebody else. And Milwaukee chose the latter. In one of the most shocking decisions the franchise had ever made, the Bucks stretched and waived Damian Lillard's contract less than 2 years after acquiring him. It was a brutal move financially, but it gave them the flexibility to bring in Miles Turner in free agents.
Hell no. He suck. He ain't do nothing in the finals against OKC. Y'all should have just kept Dame, bro. Never know what Dame time got in store. I know he old, but damn. Should have let him see what he was going to do one more year. Probably should have kept him one more year and they got rid of him, because you can't keep niggas around for too long, bro. I don't care. I know you come back from Achilles, but you gotta get to some. If you don't heat up in the regular season, heat up in the postseason. If he wasn't the type to do that, y'all should have got rid of him. Y'all got rid of Dave too fast. I ain't gonna lie, man.
Give them something they desperately needed: rim protection, spacing, and another high-level defensive presence next to Giannis.
Suck.
The move signaled one thing clearly: the Bucks were still trying to win right now, even if it meant taking extreme measures. They were willing to do almost anything to keep Giannis on the roster. But by
I would not keep Giannis on the roster with a nigga like Turner. Kyle Kuzma. Look at these 99s. All these damn 99s, bro. What? Yay. Like, come on, all these 99s, bro. Giannis, leave them.
By this time, the Bucks looked nothing like the team that had won the championship just a few years earlier.
Leave them,
Drew
bro.
was gone, winning another ring with the Celtics. Brook Lopez was gone, signing with the Clippers in the offseason. Even Pat Connaughton left. The Giannis-Dame duo that was supposed to take over the league played just 116 games together. And now the future of the Bucks was more uncertain than ever. And the season itself only made things worse. Giannis dealt with injuries throughout the year, but even when he was on the court, the Bucks were still under 500. This wasn't just bad luck anymore.
Nigga, Giannis can't stay healthy. That's crazy. I never knew that. Giannis get retired, that nigga. Damn. I wonder why the nigga never was playing for real. I don't see no Giannis hype no more for real. Because the nigga be always hurt.
This was a team that had completely lost its
They said that.
Desperate for scoring, Milwaukee even took a short-term gamble on Cam Thomas after he was waived. But nothing seemed to work. And then came the moment that perfectly summed up the entire season. After a blowout loss late in the year, head coach Doc Rivers called a team meeting, where in an effort to remind them of his past success and prove he still knew how to win, he told his players to Google him. And for obvious reasons, the players mocked him, as Doc Rivers showed that not only is he the most overrated coach ever, he's also completely delusional. And that moment said everything about the state of the Bucks. Because at this point, it isn't just about losing games anymore. The locker room is fractured, the players don't respect the coach, and the organization is completely directionless. And on top of all that, the Bucks have no draft picks, no real young talent, and almost no assets left to actually build around Giannis. The Bucks have proven they'll do anything to keep their franchise goat on the roster, but at this point, it looks like they might actually be out of options.
You gotta leave, man.
And when a team runs out of options, sometimes the only move left is giving up the player who gave them everything. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed,
you gotta leave, bro. Giannis leave, bro. I hope you leave. Instagram in the description. Put in the description. Giannis leave. We go.